Every quarter, some of the biggest companies in the world pay rent for their offices in India. Google, Amazon, Nvidia. That rent flows into listed trusts that anyone can buy on the stock exchange. They are called REITs. REIT. Real Estate Investment Trust. For 11 years you could only buy them one at a time, like stocks. That changes this month. On the 5th of August, Edelweiss Mutual Fund opens the first index fund in India that actually holds Indian REITs. Now, I am a mutual fund distributor, so let me be straight with you upfront. This video is not a recommendation to invest in it. It is the explainer I wish existed, and it includes the things the sales deck does not tell you. What a REIT actually is. What India's REIT market looks like today. What sits inside this index. What really drives the returns. What the fund costs, how it is taxed, which is the part that will surprise you, and who should probably skip it entirely. Start with the basics. A REIT is a SEBI regulated trust that owns income producing real estate, office parks, business districts, malls. The trust collects the rent, and the rules force it to hand most of that rent to you. 3 rules do the heavy lifting. At least 80% of a REIT's assets must be completed, income-generating property, not land banks, not projects under construction. At least 90% of its net distributable cash flow must be paid out to unit holders. Regulation says at least twice a year. In practice, all of India's REITs pay quarterly, and borrowing is capped at 49% of asset value, with anything above 25% requiring a credit rating and unit holder approval. Compare that with buying a flat or a shop. Direct property needs lakhs or crores of capital, takes months to sell, and concentrates your risk in one building, one city, one tenant. A REIT unit trades on the exchange like a share. Since 2021, the minimum trading lot has been a single unit. It is real estate, with the convenience of equity. Now the market. India got its REIT regulations in 2014 and its first listing, Embassy Office Parks, in 2019. 7 years later there are 6 listed trusts. Together they own more than 3.1 lakh crore rupees of Grade A offices and malls, roughly 195 million square feet, with occupancy between 90 and 99%. In financial year 2026 alone they distributed 8,900 crore rupees to more than 4 lakh unit holders, taking cumulative payouts past 31,700 crore since 2019. And here is the part that matters for the next decade. Depending on whose estimate you use, somewhere between 15 and 20% of India's Grade A office stock has been packaged into REITs so far. JLL puts the remaining monetization opportunity across India's top 7 cities at 10.8 lakh crore rupees by 2029. For scale, the United States has 195 listed REITs worth about $1.4 trillion. India has 6, worth about $24 billion. The runway is not the story of one NFO. It is the story of the next 10 years. Meet the 6 trusts. Because an index fund on this market is really a claim on these 6 businesses plus the developers. Embassy, the first and largest by asset value, over 52 million square feet, Bangalore heavy, with hotels and solar on the side. Mindspace, the K Raheja platform across Hyderabad, Mumbai and Pune, the low debt steady compounder. Brookfield, the pure institutional manager, in Mumbai, NCR and Kolkata. Nexus Select, the only listed malls play, 17 odd malls across 15 cities, with rent linked to consumption. Knowledge Realty, the Blackstone and Sattva platform, which listed in August 2025 and is now the largest office REIT by both asset value and market value. And Bagmain, listed in May 2026, 99% occupied, Bangalore Grade A plus offices where nearly all the rent comes from multinationals like Google, Amazon and Nvidia. A quick word on those 2 newest ones, because the marketing decks get this wrong. Both Knowledge Realty and Bagmain came to market at an issue price of 100 rupees. The 103, 104 figures you will see quoted are listing day prices, not what the IPO was priced at. The payout record is the point of the whole structure. As at the end of March 2026, Embassy had distributed over 14,400 crore rupees since listing. Mindspace over 6,700. Brookfield over 4,700. Nexus over 3,700. This is rent, showing up as cash, quarter after quarter. And those numbers have already moved higher, because the next round of distributions was declared in the last week of July. So why is an index fund only arriving now? Because for 9 years, REITs were not equity. SEBI classified them as hybrid instruments back in 2017, which capped how much of them a mutual fund could hold and kept them out of the equity indices. That changed through a very specific chain. In September 2025, SEBI's board approved reclassification. The Gazette notification came on the 31st of October, adding REIT units to the definition of equity-related instruments. The operating circular followed on the 28th of November, and from the 1st of January 2026, a mutual fund's investment in a REIT counts as equity. Note that InvITs, the infrastructure cousins, were deliberately left as hybrid. That is why this fund holds no InvITs. Now here is where I have to correct the sales pitch. including the deck this video is partly based on. You will read that REITs were included in equity indices from the 1st of July 2026. That is not quite what happened. The SEBI circular says inclusion may be carried out only after that date. It is the earliest permitted date, not an event. NSE then made REITs eligible for its equity indices from the next scheduled reconstitution, which means, as I record this, no REIT is actually a constituent of the Nifty 500 or the Nifty Midcap 150. That is expected at the September reconstitution. What did already happen is quieter and still meaningful. In AMFI's July 2026 classification list, 3 REITs, Embassy, Knowledge Realty and Bagmain, were slotted as mid-cap securities for the first time. And a dedicated index, the Nifty REITs and Realty Index, was launched on the 2nd of March 2026. That index is what this fund tracks. So let us open the bonnet on that index. It holds up to 15 securities, the eligible listed REITs, plus the largest listed real estate developers to fill the remaining slots. 3 rules matter. REITs must carry at least 60% of the index by weight. No single security can exceed 15%. And the whole thing is weighted by free float market value and rebalanced every March, June, September and December. As on the 30th of June 2026, that produced 60.3% across 5 REITs, Brookfield 16, Embassy 15, Nexus 14, Knowledge 8, Mindspace 7, and 39.7% across 10 developer stocks, led by DLF, Phoenix Mills, Lodha, Prestige and Godrej Properties. 2 things worth noticing there. First, 5 REITs, not 6. Bagmain had not yet entered the index at that rebalance. Second, and this is the design feature that matters most, as more REITs list and become eligible, they are included by rule, replacing the smallest developer stock. This index is built to become more REIT and less developer over time. One more clarification, because two similar indices launched within months of each other. In late July, NSE also launched a Nifty REITs and InvITs 9010 index. That is a different index. This fund does not track it, and a fund on it is not currently possible because InvITs are still classified as hybrid. What actually drives your return? 3 engines. Engine 1 is rent. The listed REITs currently yield roughly 5 to 6.5% on their unit prices, paid every quarter. You will see 5 to 7 quoted in a lot of material. On today's prices, after the 2025 rally compressed yields, the real range runs from about 4.9% to about 6.3%. Engine 2 is growth. Grade A leases in India typically build in about 15% every 3 years, so roughly 5% a year, and expiring leases have been re-signed at meaningfully higher market rents. Engine 3 is the swing factor. Interest rates. A REIT behaves partly like a bond attached to a property business. Through the 2022 and 23 rate hiking cycle, when the repo went from 4% to 6.5%, REIT prices drifted down and stayed there. Then the Reserve Bank cut 125 basis points through 2025, and the REIT pack returned close to 30% for the calendar year, with individual trusts up between 17 and 28%. Rates cut both ways, and they will again. So what does the combination look like? Here I want to be careful, because this is where marketing material gets loose. The official NSE fact sheet, as on the 31st of July 2026, shows the Nifty REITs and Realty Total Return Index up 11.86% over 1 year, 17.17% a year over 5 years, and 18.4% a year since its base date of the 1st of July 2021. And the interesting number is not the return. It is the volatility. That index has a standard deviation of about 14. The pure Nifty Realty Index, the developers on their own, sits at about 28. Half the volatility. Over the last 12 months the difference showed up plainly. The blended index returned nearly 12% while pure realty stocks were slightly negative. The 60% REIT layer, with its contracted rents, is what does the damping. 2 honest caveats on all of that. The index was only launched in March 2026, so everything before that is back-calculated history, not a live record. And a good chunk of the older performance came from the developer stocks in the 2023 and 24 property boom, not from the REITs. Past performance may or may not be sustained. So, the fund itself. The Edelweiss Nifty REITs and Realty Index Fund is an open-ended index fund tracking the total return version of that index, holding 95 to 100% of its money in index securities. The NFO runs from the 5th to the 19th of August 2026, with allotment within 5 business days, and it reopens for ordinary buying and selling on the 2nd of September. Minimum investment, 100 rupees, and SIPs start at the same 100 rupees. Exit load, nil. Riskometer, very high. The fund manager is Bharat Lahoti, with Mansi Jalgaonkar as assistant fund manager. On cost, you will see 0.9% quoted. Read that carefully. 0.9 is the maximum the scheme document allows, not the fee being charged. The actual expense ratio gets published after allotment, and the direct plan will be materially cheaper than the regular plan. Now the part almost nobody is covering, and the single most useful thing in this video. How is it taxed? Here is the trap. SEBI reclassified REITs as equity. So people assume this is an equity fund for tax. It is not. Income tax law has its own test. At least 65% of the portfolio must sit in equity shares of domestic companies. REIT units are units of a business trust. They are not equity shares. So only the roughly 40% developer sleeve counts, and the fund fails the test. What that means in practice: sell within 24 months and your gains are taxed at your income slab rate. Hold beyond 24 months and you pay 12.5% with no indexation and, importantly, without the 1,25,000 rupee exemption that equity funds get. Compare that with owning the REITs directly, where the long-term clock is 12 months and the exemption does apply. And I want to be fair to Edelweiss here, because this is to their credit. It is their own tax note that says this. Even if the index moved to 100% REITs, the fund still would not be equity taxed. If you see a website telling you this is taxed as an equity fund, that website is wrong. There is a genuine offsetting benefit, though. Hold REITs directly and every quarterly payout is taxed in the year you receive it, split across interest, dividend and capital return components. Inside the fund, those distributions are not paid out to you at all. They accrue in the NAV and compound untaxed until you redeem, and then you have a single capital gains event. For a high slab rate investor holding for the long term, that differential is worth something real. For someone who wants the cash in hand, this fund is simply the wrong instrument. So who is this actually for? A reasonable candidate wants commercial real estate exposure without buying property, understands that rate cycles will move it, and is genuinely long-term, which here means more than 2 years just to get the better tax rate. Treat it as a satellite slice of a portfolio, not a core holding. Now the honest caveats, and there are several. This is a concentrated index, 15 securities, and the top 5 are 60% of it. The 40% in developer stocks is not rent at all. It is construction and sales risk, the most cyclical corner of Indian real estate. The whole basket is rate sensitive. The fund has no track record, and its job is to track. So judge it later on tracking difference, not on returns. And the tax treatment is worse than an equity funds for anything under 2 years. On the flip side, this fund is genuinely new. India's only other so-called REIT mutual funds are 3 small international funds of funds that hold Asian and global property, and hold not a single Indian REIT between them. And the existing realty index funds hold developer stocks with no REITs. So this is the first Indian index fund that actually owns Indian REITs. That claim is fair. The broader claim that it is India's first REIT fund is not. And one more time, plainly, a new fund offer is a product launch, not an opportunity with a deadline. 10 rupees is not a discount. NAV is not a share price. The fund reopens on the 2nd of September, and nothing whatsoever is lost by reading the scheme document first. 5 things to hold on to. 1. A REIT is rent turned into a listed security by regulation. 2. India's REIT market is real but young. 6 trusts, and built to grow. 3. This index is 60% REITs today and designed to become more. 4. Rates are the swing factor, so expect bond-like moods on top of rent-like income. 5. And this is the one to remember, SEBI calls REITs equity, but the income tax department does not. If you would like help working out whether this fits your portfolio, the link is below. This is education, not investment advice. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully. Thanks for watching.